Hello and welcome everybody back to Ask EmKay. My name's Brandon, and today I'm going to be looking at r/legal advice, and just a little disclaimer, I am not a lawyer, and maybe half of the people in this also aren't lawyers, so don't take this as actual final legal advice, okay? And with that said, let's get started. I think my boyfriend has been drugging me to forget things. He is a doctor. Hey, so I'm sorry if this post is jumbled a bit. I started typing it up in Word yesterday before my date and forgot about it before finishing it today. I think my boyfriend has been secretly drugging me for a while now and is gaslighting me. I know this is going to be hard to explain, but I have been having gaps in memory that I have been explaining away as being tired or overworked or whatever else. I was going to ask my boyfriend about it since he is a doctor, but then I started to notice that this seems to happen when I go on dates with him. The first time it happened was when we were drinking and I wrote it off as too much to drink. We get drunk and have sex all the time, so it's not a big deal to me. But then there were a few times when I know we were not drinking. I decided to break up with him over it, only to suddenly find myself on a date with him a few days later. I had not yet had the conversation to break up with him, but planned on it next time I talked with him. I remember being at the restaurant, but nothing before that. My car and his car was in the parking lot too, so I was confused. I decided to play along when he asked me to come back to his place. After 3 days at his place, I remembered everything, so I was started to trust him again. Knowing he was an ENT, I know it won't be his forte, but he is a doctor. I was going to ask him about my issues when he randomly pointed to these red bumps on my thigh and said I should be treating those sores. I had completely forgotten they were there. These little red bumps that looked like needle injections that got infected. I got so freaked out he mentioned them that I decided to leave. Then today, he met me for lunch saying we had agreed to meet. I never agreed to meet with him, and would never want to. He does this all the time, saying we agreed to do something I have no memory of. I am sick and tired of it and want him punished. This has started to affect my work life as well, as I started to get paranoid when I see a boss walk into a room after making eye contact with me. I get paranoid that they are about to fire me. My friends also state I have been acting strangely and out of character. I have even begun to lose sleep and sleepwalk when I do. Is there a way to have blood work done to see what kind of drug he is using on me? I do not want the police to blow me off and push me away as some crazy lady, so I want to be so damn sure when I go to the police. Rightfully so. I think you should have him punished and maybe even killed. I don't know, this sounds really incriminating. Hey, former professional pest control guy here with lots of experience with bed bugs. I will happily answer any questions about bed bugs. My first bit of advice is for you to get professional treatment of the bed bugs. It is not cheap, but they are incredibly difficult to get rid of. Bedbugs can survive a year or more without feeding and do cause a wide array of psychological issues due to prolonged extremely poor sleep. I sincerely hope this is the cause of your issues, but I would also talk to your doctor, not your boyfriend, about your symptoms. Request blood work. I've never heard of bedbugs causing psychological symptoms. That's scary. I would call an exterminator ASAP to verify that you have bedbugs and see what you need to do to get rid of them. You can also go to a doctor and get drug tested. Gaps in your memory like that could be caused by benzodiazepines. They can also cause rebound anxiety like you're describing. They should show up in your blood or urine depending on when you ingested them last. Good luck, OP! I want to make it very clear that I do not doubt you, and in fact, your fears are very possibly true. I do want to point out another possibility, although maybe less likely. Your memory lapses remind me of a friend who experienced emerging schizophrenia, and the paranoia you mentioned seems like maybe it would fit. I can't help but wonder why he would point out the bumps if he caused them. Either way, you need the immediate assistance of a sympathetic physician with distance from him. Please get help. I want to reiterate that I am not victim blaming or doubting. I just am pointing out another important possibility. There is no drug that I know of that has an effect like this. The usual subjects have a way too short half-life for what you are describing. Go to a doctor he isn't tied to with your medical concerns. Also, go to a therapist regarding the stress and mental health aspects of your recovery. Once the doctor concludes their tests and determines what/if you've been drugged with something, you should take that result to the cops and file a report. Absolutely 100%, if you get test results that do say you have been drugged without your knowledge, you go to the cops instantly. Regular customer tipped me with scratch tickets for years. I finally won something and they are threatening legal action because I don't want to give them a cut. I worked as head bartender for a local restaurant for a number of years, and there was a regular customer who was there very frequently. I interacted with this customer frequently. They tipped exclusively in scratch tickets and specifically called to ask for my schedule, asking me out on multiple occasions, etc. Probably about 40 years my senior. If you've ever watched The Good Place, this guy was IRL Brent. Oh god, the mental image of that, ew. I won something from the scratch ticket that wasn't $5/10. The final amount after taxes was about 3 months' salary for me, and I was making good money. I specifically didn't tell the customer not because I thought they would want it, but because I didn't want them feeling like I owed them something or that I should be thankful towards them. I did tell a coworker, and it got to him through the grapevine. The next time I came in, he congratulated me and asked how we wanted to split it. I sternly told him that it was my tip, and long story short, he went to my manager, who took his side. I quit. Had been planning to anyway, since I'm about to finish school. My manager gave this guy my email, I'm curious on the legality of this too, and he, customer, emailed me saying that if I didn't agree to give him 50%, he'd take legal action. Do I need to worry about taking his threat seriously? Is there anything I can do or should do to protect myself? I'm assuming this is a bluff, but I want to have my bases covered. TLDR, me drink lady. Mean man who buy many drinks gives me scratchy papers instead of green paper for many days. One day, Scratchy says me get a lot of green paper, but man no like this when he hear because he wants some green paper too. Me say no, green mine. So he say that he take swift and immediate legal action if me no comply. Me no need comply, right? I so appreciate you for the TLDR, that it just masterclass. But also, yeah, I don't think he really has a claim here if he gave you the tip. I don't know, I'm not a lawyer. Tell him to pound sand. In this situation, the tips were gifts and were not given on conditional bias. If he attempts to sue you, you should respond. It's extremely unlikely that he'd be successful in any lawsuit. If you get sued, then you need to show up and comply with any judge's orders. But right now, you owe him nothing and don't even have a responsibility to reply to his emails. Do save them just in case you get sued though. But if he is threatening litigation, I would recommend ceasing all contact from this point forward without an attorney present. First, in the drama avoidance category, if you win more than, say, $20 on a game of chance, keep it to yourself. You have to tell the IRS. You don't have to tell Nelly next door or Charlie coworker. Second, to echo every single thing everyone else said, no. If you got, as a waitress tip, a lottery ticket and the ticket wins, then the money is yours. Period. You have no legal obligation whatsoever to split it with anyone, except Uncle Sam and Auntie whatever state you're in. Can I get a paternity test on myself? Hi, I'm 16 years old and have good reason to think my mom and dad aren't my real parents. I had a much older sister who K'd herself when I was 6. She was 26 when she died. All of her stuff is in the basement in boxes. I don't remember too much about her, honestly, and it makes me sad sometimes. My parents don't talk much about her. There's a painting in our house that she painted. It's a very nice painting of a swamp. It's my favorite thing. I decided to go looking through all of her stuff, mostly for more pictures. What I found was a bunch of notebooks of writing she did, mostly poetry. I felt weird reading them at first because they were mostly about her depression. Then I read this one that was about how she had a baby and someone took him away. It's really short and I didn't really understand it. Like, a lot of it seemed metaphorical, I guess is the word. Anyways, I asked my mom if she ever had a baby and my mom was real weird about it. She wanted to know why I would ask that. I said, I don't know. I just found some stuff in the basement and was curious. She got real mad at me and told me not to snoop, and she said she didn't have kids. Well, I started thinking about it. I am the spitting image of my sister, but I don't look like my mom or dad. I casually asked my mom to see my birth certificate the next day, and she got mad again and wouldn't let me see it. TLDR, I think my dead sister is my real mom. In Florida, by the way. Oh my god. Okay, yeah, that's an interesting doozy. I think you're able to get a paternity test. I don't know, since you're 16, I don't know if you're allowed to do it by yourself. Aren't you gonna need your birth certificate for driving learner's permit? Or see if you can get a copy of what's called vital statistics / birth certificate from your county or city you were born in. I'm unsure the actual legal age you can buy a copy, but certainly you can call and ask. I agree with another commenter who said to tell your parents what you found and ask them about it. They probably want to protect you, and if it is true, they may feel a lot of relief from finally telling you the truth. Don't let your mom or dad brush it off or dismiss your concerns. It can be very difficult to convince someone it's okay to come clean. Perhaps have a one-on-one with the more reasonable parent. I hope they listen to you. Worst case, you have to wait until you're 18, as others have posted, but right now, it would be nice to know. Maybe take pictures of what you found just in case they overreact and try to destroy it? And probably keep something with your sister's DNA, although 100% of my knowledge of DNA tests is from movies, so I'm not sure what you would need. If you look nothing like your parents and are the spitting image of your sister, that means she doesn't look like your parents either. So if they created her, they could create you. Don't worry too much about looks. Birth certificate is the best way to go unless you were formally adopted. DNA would be pretty similar since you share lineage. When your parents aren't home, look for your birth certificate. If you find it, take a photo, but don't take it away as you're still a minor. Talk to your dad. He may be more open about it. You can get 23andMe on yourself, but I don't think it's legal to get your parents tested behind their backs. My sister looks exactly like our grandma used to, and not like our parents. Your sister may have had a baby that was put up for adoption and is not you, but your mom's reaction is suspicious. However, since you're still a minor, your only options are to find the birth certificate and/or insist your mom tell you the truth. I exposed my chest at work as proof I had breast cancer after boss and coworker were spreading rumors that I didn't actually have cancer. Arkansas. I had breast cancer about a year and a half ago. I got surgery and took FMLA. Luckily, I didn't have to undergo chemo or radiation. Surgery was able to remove all my tumors. I still have checkups and screenings occasionally and have to miss work. Another coworker in another department has breast cancer, but unfortunately was unable to hand it removed by only surgery and had to be out longer. She is still undergoing treatment. I declined reconstruction on my breasts, so I was able to come back to work at 3.5 weeks. My FMLA is intermittent. I do take it occasionally for those checkups and screenings because I am at high risk of it returning. I have no breast on my left side, just a flat scar, no breast tissue, and I have no nipple and only a smaller amount of breast tissue on my right side. They removed a lot of breast tissue with a lumpectomy, but were able to salvage about 55% of the breast tissue. I have no nipples. I did something very dumb because I am a very dumb person. My coworkers and my immediate supervisor have been talking about my breast cancer for weeks because I had to miss an important meeting for a breast MRI and a bone scan. I requested off, got my manager and HR to approve it, converted under my FMLA signed by my oncologist. They've been spreading rumors that because I came back to work so soon that I didn't have breast cancer. I wear a prosthetic at work so no one sees my flat. They are saying everyone they know with any cancer always has to take a lot of time off work and I seem fine. They, coworkers and supervisor, not my manager or HR, are saying I am abusing FMLA. Someone said they saw me out at the store after an oncology appointment that was approved by my manager. I did stop by the grocery store on my way home, and I looked fine. Again, I am not on chemo, so my appointments are checkups and blood draws. I feel fine after. They are emotionally draining, but physical, I feel great. It got to the point where I was scared to even take appointments because I knew coming back to work would be the worst. Again, my manager has always been supportive and HR too. This is just my supervisor and my coworkers. I have a surgery coming up to help with some scarring. They are just going to clean up some of the tissue now that everything has healed and I have been cancer-free for over a year. I let my supervisor know they are thinking about scheduling it for the summer, and he said, "Right, the cancer thing again." One particular day last week, I got upset because I heard them in the office next door talking about me. They were saying I was scamming everyone and didn't deserve the upcoming raises, and about how I didn't have cancer. I got upset and I walked over and I lifted my shirt and prosthetic bra and showed them the scars on my chest. I did cover my remaining 55% there breast with no nipple with my hand, but my scars were on display for all to see. I then told them to go F themselves and went back to my desk. This was on Friday at 3:30 p.m. I left at 4:30 like I always do. No one has said anything. It is now Monday and I am worried. I had time to think over the weekend and realized it was a huge mistake. I should have just gone to HR about the gossip. I've seen my manager, but they haven't said anything. My supervisor hasn't said anything. None of my gossiping coworkers have said anything. The ones that don't gossip haven't said anything and are acting like normal. What should I do to unmess this up? What can I expect them to do to me legally? Could the coworkers I expose my chest to call the police? My husband said they likely could, but probably wouldn't. Do I get a lawyer now and ask his advice? Would I hurt myself more by going to my manager and HR and saying, I messed up? I'm so worried and confused. Any legal advice would be appreciated. I imagine if they did fire me, something like this would keep me from unemployment, right? I know they can legally fire me for any non-protected reason, and this isn't protected. Oh yeah, this one's tough. I do think what you did is reasonable on a personal level because, they're trying to bash your name and spread rumors, whatever. But legally, in a workplace, technically flashing doesn't really go over too well, so I'm not sure. I think you made your point. They're too ashamed to do anything now. They literally were talking shit about someone who had cancer. For real, if this did get back to HR, they're still the ones in the wrong. They're saying, oh yeah, her cancer, not real, Like, come on, guys. Your I did something dumb moment, which wasn't what I'd call dumb, by the way, is far less offensive than what your coworkers and supervisor were doing. And if I were the company, I would be far more concerned about liability for disability-based harassment than I would any indecent exposure on your part. I think you'll be okay. I think they're not saying anything because you called them out on their BS in the most upfront and brutally honest way. I'm sorry that it happened to you and it got to that point, but I want to say kudos to you for taking that situation and slamming it down. It's not right for a cancer patient to be bullied and harassed like that, and your manager should have taken care of it before you even had to. Honestly, people really just going around saying, oh yeah, that cancer fake. Who does that? I'm so thrown off by that. Not a lawyer. They're ashamed and you did nothing wrong. Don't worry about it. Bet the look on their faces was priceless. Good on you and best to you in your healing. My butthole has been a location on Facebook since 2012 and I can't get it removed. I wish this was fake, but it's not. The first thing you see when you type in my full name on Google is Original Posters Butthole. This page was created in 2012. I was only 15 at the time. I have reported it a million times, even asked friends to report it. It's humiliating. I tried requesting the name change of the page. Reported it for every option possible. Facebook says it doesn't violate terms. Tried claiming it as my business since at the bottom of the page it claims to be automatically generated off interest of the topic and not affiliated with the business, which I don't understand how that happens, and it wouldn't let me claim it. It was never a business. I was a child. I feel so hopeless. Any advice would be appreciated. I promise I'm not trolling and have proof if needed. My name obviously edited out. Location, California. TLDR, Facebook automatically generated a page when I was 15 saying my butthole is a business location with a pin close to the home I used to live in and nothing I can do can get it removed. Oh, bud. I'm not gonna lie. This one, I don't know if you have any legal action you can take, but this is just so funny. You gotta lean into it somehow. You gotta market this. Since you are in California, you may be able to get them to remove it by filing a CCPA request to have all data about you deleted. I don't think they'll recognize it as his data since they consider it a business location. Yeah, you might have to try and show some proof that this is your business, but I don't know if you want to show that kind of proof because it might be pictorial. Have you tried reaching out to the FB Business Support Chat? It's intended for business pages, but it's worth a shot. Scroll to the bottom of this page and you can select email or chat. Depending on the hours, it's not 24/7. You're connected with an actual human, and in my experience, they do a fairly good job of resolving issues. Well, I mean, it's worth a shot. Neighbor's child has disabilities and won't stop climbing the fence, entering my house, and freeing my dogs. For the past 7 months after moving into my new house with my daughter and dogs, the neighbor's child, who's 15, 16, and has pretty severe Down syndrome, has increasingly been entering my property and home. At first, I just talked to the neighbors, and they were at first really sorry and vowed to monitor her more while she's in the backyard. However, after a few months, they just genuinely do not care anymore and brush it off. I've installed security cameras in the backyard and front yard purely for my own safety, insurance-wise, because we do have a pool. She will climb the fence into my yard, 6-foot wooden privacy fence, with a ladder from their shed and let my dogs out. I've fixed her letting and padlocks on the 2 gates. Before this became a common occurrence, she even would let the dogs out of the house and then free them. Numerous times, if my garage door is open, she will leave their backyard and just walk into my house to free my dogs. I don't know what the purpose is other than it's something she just has to do for whatever reason. When she climbs into the backyard, sometimes when I'm not even home, and she can't get back out, she begins screaming and crying and just shuts down. Before I started chaining and locking my gates because of her releasing my dogs, her parents would just walk in and get her and leave. Now, since I've chained it, they start a huge fit about me having her locked in my backyard and they have to climb the fence, bring the ladder over, and carry her back over. Somehow, this is my fault. Now, I'm not really blaming her because she mentally doesn't know any better. She has some very severe issues and she's damn lucky my dogs are super nice. Purebred German Shepherd and English Bulldog and a mixed Shepherd/Bulldog. I just honestly worry about her safety in the backyard, climbing fences, and her seemingly not being watched as she needs to be. I have a pool, and if she falls in when I'm not home, she could very well drown. That's why I've installed security cameras to cover my own ass if that ever happens. I truly hope it never does, but it seems her parents just put her in the backyard and that's it. I've called the local Child and Family Services office, CPS, several times in the past 2 months to report it because I feel she is at risk with her parents' inattentiveness and their seemingly not caring attitude of her just going into people's yards, garages, houses, etc. I have a full garage of power tools, table saws, etc. that I've now had to resort to flipping the breaker off when I open the doors out of fear she may severely injure herself. I feel like I've done everything I can, talked to the parents numerous times, called Child and Family Services, installed cameras, locked my gates further. I just have no idea what to do now. I've debated calling the police when she enters, but I don't know how that will escalate. Honestly, I would call the police every time it happens until the parents' behavior changes. For real, it seems like really negligent parenting if they're just like, well, they just get in there. Whoops. If anything happens to her on your property, they would be the first ones to sue you. Please start calling the police. If her parents will not revoke her access to the ladder, you may consider calling the police at this point. There isn't really anything else you can do besides that if you have already talked to her parents and called CPS. At this point, you need to call the police. This is a dangerous situation for her, and what she is doing is a crime. Her condition is not your responsibility. You have been more than nice about the entire situation. Even with your camera, if she hurts herself or even worse, drowns in your pool, you can be held liable, especially if you are in California. OP, I'm very concerned about the fact she is entering your house. I hope the parents don't decide to make allegations about inappropriate behavior with their daughter. You need to protect yourself by securing your house immediately, and begin reporting the trespassing behavior to the police as well. This has gone on long enough. Yeah, the fact the daughter keeps entering your home, not even just your backyard, but your home, that is a little not a little, that's really concerning. You need to be careful. Mother took $500 from my account to pay tithing that I said I don't want to pay. So my parents are heavily Mormon and we just recently had a tithing settlement, and when they asked me if I had paid my tithing, I told them no. They then asked me if I had a plan to fix that, and I told them that I worked too hard just to give that money away. Anyways, so afterwards, my mom, who is my account co-owner as I'm under 18, decided to take 10% of my bank account out and refuses to give it back. This isn't legal, right? Update. I plan to slowly over the next few days withdraw the money over time. I will leave some in as to not look suspicious. I will try talking to my mom about paying the $500 just to keep her on my good side. Update 2. Okay, now this has gotten ridiculous. Turns out my dad is sick of my mom overspending, so he did 2 things. He stopped paying tithing himself and swapped my mom's credit card for a debit card. My mom took my money to pay off tithing for him, and she gave me roughly $200 back. She said she'll give me the rest back and that she's still disappointed in me for not paying my tithing. I'm at a loss what to do next. Update 3! Doesn't sound like I'm getting my money back anytime soon. Both my parents are in a significant amount of debt. My parents fought a lot yesterday, apparently. My mom spent almost $10,000 on stuff from the past month or so. My dad has started making cuts in our budget to fix this, tithing being one of them. I'm still following through with taking my money and putting it in a place where my parents can't touch it, just in case they get any ideas. Ooh, yeah, when it gets to religious stuff, I don't know the legality around it, especially because Mormons have their ways. You might also contact the church they tithe to and tell them your parents tithed for you without your permission. They might return the money, and they might not. Legally, like everyone else said, if she is a co-owner, she can take the money. My mom stole money from me as a minor as well, and it sucked. That being said, it is possible to talk to your bishop about it and let him know the situation. He might be able to give you advice or talk to your parents. It's unethical to tithe stolen money and also a violation of your agency. Hey, I saw another post where you mentioned your mom's bad spending habits. Any chance she didn't actually tithe your money and used it to buy something or pay something off? It doesn't change anything, but that could be what is going on, in which case get that $4,500 out of her reach as soon as possible. Even regardless, just get that money away from your parents, considering they just have no problems taking it from you. Look into student bank accounts that you might be able to open as a minor in your name only. I was able to do that at 16. In the meantime, I would think about cashing checks and hiding the cash away in a lockbox or some other kind of safe place until you can safely deposit the money in a bank. Oregon. I accidentally created an army of crow bodyguards. Am I liable if my murder attempts murder? To make a long story short, I'm a late 20-something living in Portland, Oregon. I have a pretty intense emo/goth phase as a tween that I thought I had grown out of. A couple months ago, I was watching a nature program on our local station about crows. The program mentioned that if you feed and befriend them, crows will bring you small gifts. My emo phase came back full force and I figured that I was furloughed and had lots of time, so why not make some crow friends? My plan worked a little too well and the resident 5 crows in my neighborhood have turned into an army 15 strong. At first, my neighbors didn't mind and enjoyed it. They're mostly elderly and most were in a bird watching club anyway. They thought the fact that I had crows following me around whenever I go outside was funny. Lately, the crows have started defending me. My neighbor came over for a socially distanced chat, me on my porch, her in my yard, and the crows started dive bombing her. They would not stop until she left my yard. They didn't make physical contact with her, but they got very close. Am I liable if these crows injure someone since I fed them? I obviously can't control the crows. I would rather them not attack my neighbors. But since I technically created this nuisance, could I be financially on the hook for any injuries? To be clear, they're not aggressive 100% of the time. If just the neighbors are out, they are friendly, normal crows. They only get aggressive when someone gets close to me or my property. ETA, TLDR, I have turned into Moira Rose, Queen of the Crows. My inadvertent crow army has gotten aggressive towards others. If they hurt someone, could I be held liable? ETA Part 2. I did not train these birds to attack. Also, thank you for all the awards. I'm glad my stupid decisions bring you joy. Please consider donating that money to your local Audubon Society instead. Now, this is an actually fun question. I love to play in the space of this, though I am not a legal expert, so I really don't know if you're liable or not. They are resource guarding. To stop them from attacking people, ask guests to bring shiny objects or food scraps to the murder of crows as an offering. You could also supply your guests little baggies of treats for them to offer up. If they dive bomb someone, don't give them food for 24 hours. If they are nice to a guest, give them a high-value treat to reinforce positive behavior. Advice from my partner. She was a field biologist that is published in biology/ornithology. Not necessarily legal advice, but still pretty good advice. It would take quite a stretch for someone to make a winning case that you were negligent by feeding the crows and that your feeding the crows was the cause of whatever injury occurred. A stretch doesn't mean impossible, though. Make sure your homeowner's insurance is up to date. This is my favorite thing I've read my entire life. You'd be no more legally liable for feeding a stray dog that happened to get dangerously close to random bypassers. Boyfriend and I slept through gas leak that evacuated our entire building except us. Landlady basically said if we don't like it, we could move out. This happened in Ontario, Canada. So this past Friday, our entire apartment building was evacuated after a bum-like person, landlady's words, broke into the building and busted a gas pipe at around midnight. I found out about it the next night at work. I work across the street from our building and we're open pretty late. When my coworker asked where my boyfriend and I were the night before, he filled me in on what had happened and that everyone was outside. There were fire trucks, cops, the works. For more context, on the 24th of October, a fire marshal inspected our alarm that connected to the building and said it needed to be replaced. It has yet to be replaced, and when my boyfriend confronted our landlady via text, she refused to give us a copy of order for our replacement alarm, blamed us for not hearing the commotion and waking up. I sleep with earplugs and boyfriend is a heavy sleeper. Didn't apologize, and told us if we don't feel comfortable, she'd make arrangements for us to move out. All we asked for was the alarm for our unit. Luckily, neither us or our cats are hurt or anything, but if the gas leak had been any more serious, we could have died in our sleep that night. Boyfriend's dad is a real estate agent, and the first thing he cited was the law that landlords need to have an evacuation plan for all tenants and units. I dislike confrontation and feel like we were too harsh in our texts, but we could have died if it were more serious. My dad is telling me to report the landlady to the tenant tribunal or the fire department, but I don't know. Came here for advice from third parties or someone who knows more about tenant law in Ontario. Edit. More direct questions. Should we pursue action and report? If we do pursue reporting them, could they evict us? I know it wouldn't be legal for them to evict us over reporting them, but the fear is still in my mind. I could also post the screenshots of the text conversation if anyone would like to read them. TLDR, boyfriend and I were only tenants not evacuated during a gas leak, and landlady refuses to acknowledge the seriousness of the situation. Basically told us she'd rather us move out than fix our alarm. Look, once again, I'm no lawyer, but I feel like in a situation like this, they are absolutely liable to some kind of compensation. At the very least, they have to get you a new alarm, because like what? Huh? Your landlord deserves harsh reprimand and should be reported to both places. She's being incredibly blasé about a potentially life-threatening situation, and next time one of her tenants may not be as lucky with the outcome. If for no other reason than accountability, you should report her. Stop playing nice. They don't care about you. They have endangered your life. They don't deserve the kindness you are giving them. I hate to say it, but also not really. Yeah, they are completely correct. Your landlord doesn't care about you, seemingly from this case. Your dad is right. You should report your landlord to both places. Contact the fire marshal. They love to fine a-hole landlords. If you were stuck inside, the firefighters would have to go into a burning building to save you. They would rather stay outside and just put out the fire. Your life could have been at risk here. Time to put the fear of confrontation aside for your own well-being and the safety of your BF and pets. Report the landlord. Why are you so afraid of being evicted from a death trap? This place almost killed us, but I fear confrontation more than death. Report them and start looking for another place. Whether she illegally evicts you or not, you gotta go. Yeah, if a landlord really doesn't care that much to do the thing they're legally required to do, don't stay there anymore. It's not worth your money or time. Well, that was some interesting legal advice. Remember, don't take any of this for fact, because I feel like a lot of this wasn't real legal advice, so be careful out there and contact a lawyer if you're ever in trouble. Once again, I'd like to say my name is Brandon, and I will see you another day. Bye!